Leadership. I believe everybody can be a better leader. And everybody and all of you will be leaders in your career. You may lead a group of 2 or 3 people on a small project. You may have charge of a larger section of 200 or 300 people. But any time in your life, you will have to exercise leadership. And anybody can do it. Anybody can improve their leadership skills. You may be an abysmally poor leader, but you can go from abysmally poor to poor, and that improves your performance. You can be a great leader, and if you work on it, you can become a fantastic leader. And leadership is always improvable. It depends on self-analysis, and it depends on skills. Skills, as you all know, improve with practice and self-analysis of what you're doing. So let's look at career. The most critical thing, by the way, some of the things I'll talk about, everything I'll be talking about is based on either mistakes I've made or mistakes I've seen other people make. I'm not going to admit to all of my mistakes, my God, that would take too long. But you can be sure some of these are very hard-fought lessons. First one, I think both Anton and Alexandra mentioned, find a mentor, and that is, I think, very important. I didn't really do that, but look for one when you're in an organization, whether it's the military, whether it's the public service, whether it's a larger corporation, look around. And I would suggest look for the non-flashy person. Don't look for the charismatic person. Those tend to be wrapped up in their own egos, and they will use you simply to feed that ego. Look for the quieter person. Look for the person who exercises good judgment and common sense, and who doesn't make the effort to put themselves forward all the time. You will also find asking a person to be a mentor is something that they will like, and most people will accept the idea. You can also start by simply asking very quick help with a small item and build it up to a larger mentorship relationship. You don't necessarily have to ask them to be a mentor right from the beginning. But if at all possible, find yourself a mentor where you are. Know the difference between winning and between getting what you want. Many, many years ago, I was sent off to a training conference in the military to design a training exercise at the brigade level, which would have included my unit. My unit tends to be misemployed in many ways during these exercises. So my job was to make sure that the proper doctrinal standards were applied to the way we were being used. I went in there, and boy, we sent in a briefing note first. And when it came my turn to reply to the overall plan, zaczął strzelać. And about halfway through what I was saying, the colonel running the conference said, "Okay, BORYS, you guys design your own training, we'll include it." I didn't shut up. I just kept on going, and point after point, and hammering and hammering. So then the colonel said, "BORYS, you got what you wanted, let us carry on with the meeting." And I did exactly that. At that point, I began to realize that winning in my mind was people serving my ego, bowing down and saying, "BORYS, you're a doctrinal god, you're great, you're fantastic." That's not what we wanted. What we wanted is to make sure our training happened the way we needed it to happen. And I think you have to be very careful in any leadership task you undertake, in everything you're doing. Do not let your ego get in the way. The lesson here is know your boss, but whenever you're trying to do something, don't surprise them, because you never know how insecure they may be in their position. Start off, if you've got an idea, go to them, mention it to them, let it soak up in their mind, see if they're willing to let you carry on with it. But be very careful and don't surprise your boss. So, you want to move on? Don't tell your boss to go to hell and walk out the door. Line up your next job before you quit. It is much easier to get a job when you're actually working. People look at you very differently. So look for that. Line up your next job. You'll have a greater degree of both personal and economic security. The key element is, as I mentioned, people come into this. Remember, you are leading people, and you have to have an interest in those people, and you have to know what they think and how they behave. Most people are not really interested in hearing what you have to say. They want to talk. And I can make a suggestion. There is a rather hokey book written in the 1930s by Dale Carnegie called How to Make Friends and Influence People. It was more or less, I think, from reading it, designed for salesmen. But it's an excellent book because what it does is it gets you to suppress your own ego, to show an interest in people, to question them, to get them talking. And when they get to talk rather than you, they will look up to you as a leader and show you a lot more respect. Believe me. Show an interest in people. And if you want to read the book, you can. It's actually not bad. The language is 1930s. As I say, it's a bit hokey, but it is rather effective in many ways. And that'll get you started